Okay. So I usually begin these typing sessions by asking how many, if any, of my typing sessions have you seen before?
I've watched a bunch of them. Uh,
Okay.
I just started probably within the last 6 months to a year. I couldn't give you an exact time. Uh,
Okay.
so I'm pretty familiar with most of the stuff. I'm not an expert by any means, obviously, but yeah.
Okay. Could you give me uh the dating profile nutshell? Like that kind of who you are if you were writing it for either like a LinkedIn profile or a dating profile or something like that.
Um, I mean, I could give you some words that describe me, I guess, but um,
All right, well let's
I
hear 'em. Let's hear your words that describe you.
okay. um, quiet, uh, independent. Um, uh, yeah, that's what I've got.
Okay. That's a lot of words.
Yeah.
Um, well, you're independent, but apparently in a relationship. Is that correct?
Um, just in general, in a relationship, uh, so I would I would
Yeah, I tread on tricky ground there. My bad. I just was confirmatory. I thought I knew, but you know, my bad. So let's segue to a different topic there. So can you talk to me about your sleeping habits?
yeah. I require uh ideally like 10 hours of sleep, and if I don't get that in a night, I'm going to need to get that uh eventually. And I'm gonna feel very drained if I don't get that 10 hours.
Okay.
Or I would say at least 9. That's ideal.
So how long can you put off getting it? So, for example, is it fine for you to get 6 one night and then 14 the next?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Okay. And how about your eating habits? Like, do you eat the same thing every morning for breakfast?
Well, my girlfriend tends to make all of my meals for me. Uh just cuz she likes to cook and stuff like that. Um but if we weren't in a relationship per se, I would probably stick to eating the same thing uh over again.
Okay. What would you eat, do you think?
Chicken, rice and broccoli probably.
Chicken, rice, and broccoli. Well, that's a pretty full complement of foods.
Yeah. But I will say that at times I'll just kind of if I'm stressed out or something, I'll definitely stress eat kind of stuff like that.
Okay. Do
Uh,
you do you go through fast food when you do that, or do you have snacks at home for that purpose?
I'll probably do both. If I'm
Okay.
stressed out enough, I'll probably do both.
What sort of things cause you stress?
Um, Not enough alone time. Uh, um, Working too much. Um, just not doing the things that I want to do in a day, I guess.
Okay. What kind of work do you do?
I'm currently a night auditor at a hotel. Um, I'm in the process of transitioning to go to the Air Force. So yeah.
So what does it mean to audit the night?
I'm just kind of plugging in a bunch of numbers, like all the numbers that the hotel makes, how many guests are staying at the hotel, how many rooms are occupied.
Do you
Yeah.
ever go by people's rooms and knock on the door and say, "Night auditor"?
No, no.
Just making sure you're asleep. I'm okay. How do you feel about Christmas? Are you into Christmas decorations and stuff like that, or not so much?
I'm not into the decorations. I like Christmas spirit, I guess. But to some extent. But if I wasn't uh in a relationship with somebody that really likes Christmas and holidays and stuff like that, I could do without.
Okay, so note that this is the relationship I was referring to earlier that you're in, right?
Uh,
Okay. So, all right. So when you go into the Air Force, what do you anticipate is going to be your experience? What made you make that decision, and what do you expect to gain from it, etc.?
so, um, well, the whole purpose of me wanting to go to the Air Force in the grand scheme of things would be the uh, college aspect of it. I want to go to college and have it paid off for. Um, and uh, I mean, there's some other benefits too that are kind of incentivizing me to
Is there
want
a
to.
reason you chose Air Force over Army, Navy, or Marines?
It's the most civilian, like, yeah, out of the three. Is at least that's what I've been told.
Do
Uh,
you think we'll have more access to information about UFOs being part of the Air Force? Do
um, yeah, I don't think so.
you believe in UFOs?
No. Well, I've kind of teetered back and forth. Um, Ultimately, I'm kind of in a position where or my viewpoint would be that uh, I wouldn't. I'll believe it when I see it. That's where I stand at this moment. But I teeter more on the side of yes, I do believe in UFOs.
What about Sasquatch?
Sasquatch, no, I don't believe in that.
Okay. And what about ghosts?
I do believe in ghosts. I've had a couple of instances where it's just kind of where I just kind of believe it now because of those instances.
Okay, cool. So, do you feel it sounds as though, confirm or deny it, that you feel most informed by your experience versus, say, your intuition?
Um,
Or is that only about paranormal stuff?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Um, how long ago did you come up with this plan to go to the Air Force?
Um, it's been uh, well, right out of high school, I intended to go to the Air Force. But there were a lot of hoops that I had to, and obstacles that I needed to go through to make that happen, and I ended up calling it off for a period of time.
You got caught up in the thrilling world of night auditing.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so then I kind of decided that I was going to, um, after some time, I came up with a plan and decided that this was the route I was going to take.
And then do you have second thoughts about it? Do you go, gosh, I hope this is the right idea, or do you feel fairly clear about it?
Um, well, I put a lot of thought into it, and I've wrote out like a whole plan, uh, and stuff like that. So uh, I don't really have many second guesses about it.
Are you going to be doing any airplane flying, or are you going to do some other job in the Air Force?
I don't have a clue what I'm going to do yet. I haven't gotten to that step where I get to choose a job yet.
Do you like the idea of flying airplanes, or would you rather just do something on the ground?
Um, I think I'd rather just do something on the ground.
Yeah, it's a lot of jostling to get up in an airplane.
Yeah.
Do you like amusement park rides?
No, I'm not a big fan of adventures. Or I mean, every once in a while, yeah, but like vacations, adventures, stuff like that. It sounds nice to me, but when it actually happens, I'd be better, or I feel as though I'd be better off back where I was before it started, the vacation, the whatever.
So when you're done working and you're just doing the things you want to do during the day that you mentioned that you get frustrated if you don't get enough time to do the things you want to do, what are those things that you want to do?
Um, Research various topics, sleep, uh, listen to podcasts, maybe watch something on the television. Uh,
Okay. What kind of stuff do you like to watch on television?
uh, it just kind of varies. It depends on if I'm in a entertainment kind of mode, or if I'm uh, feeling more like watching something informal.
Okay, I'm going to list some various kinds of TV shows. I want you to give me thumbs up, thumbs down, or it depends.
Okay.
True crime, like 2020. It
Uh,
depends. Okay.
yeah.
What about uh like Doubtington Abbey, kind of set in the olden days, lords and ladies, people riding on horses, costume period drama?
Would that be something like Lord of the Rings, or
Well, Lord of the
like?
Rings is a little bit different. That Lord of the Rings, that's after this one. This one is just like it's probably a story about people having various relationships, but it's set in the olden days where some of them have a manor house in England and they've got servants and stuff.
Um, I don't know. I'm going with thumbs down on that one, I think.
All right, well now let's go to Lord of the Rings type stuff. Magic, dragons, swords.
Uh, I would. I enjoy Lord of the Rings. Uh, it, for me, it comes down to plot and character development and stuff like that.
Okay. Do you watch much anime?
Um, I don't watch a lot of anime now. I I do I do watch it occasionally. Uh, Maybe one or two a year.
Hmm. That's a lot less anime than I watch. Um, okay, so do you watch psychology stuff that's not typology, like Dr. Todd Grande or that other guy?
Um, I'll research some psychology stuff, but I'm really when it comes to like deep dive into psychology, uh, that's what I want to do in college. Uh, so I kind of, in a way, have been putting a deep dive into psychology off until I do that, I guess.
I see. Well, my daughter majored in psychology in college.
Oh, did she? Did she
Yeah,
enjoy it?
yeah, I think she did enjoy it. I think she did. Um, yeah, I'm not a big believer in college, but what am I to say? Okay. So, what about sports? Is that going to sound saying thumbs up, medium, or down?
Um, do you say watching sports or just sports in general?
Watching sports. Yeah, watching sports on TV.
Uh, I don't really, uh, I don't really get any joy out of watching sports, but I'll watch it, I guess. Like I have a favorite sports team and I'll watch them, but I don't really get any joy out of it, I guess.
Okay. Um, do you get joy out of eating meals prepared for you by your girlfriend?
um, no, I wouldn't say so.
Okay. So,
I
you
like the
mostly get joy out of sleeping and watching media mostly, right?
um, yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Do you think you're going to have a lot of opportunity to do that in the Air Force?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's where you got to tough it out for a few years, and then you get to not tough it out for a few years, you know. Um. Okay. So, can you tell me about a a formative memory of an event from childhood that you learned a lesson from and you still remember it today? My example is the time my dad yelled at me for leaving cereal in the bowl and explained that cereal is not like other stuff. It gets like cemented to the side of the bowl if you just leave it in the sink. And I always rinsed out cereal bowls ever since.
Um, not exactly to that, not exactly in that way, but my grandfather would always preach to me that knowledge is power and nobody can take that away from me. That's the best I can do with that.
Okay. Can you recount for me the last time you went out of town on some kind of a vacation, getaway, and what your favorite moment from that experience was?
Um, no, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, how long have you been into sleeping so much? Has it always been like that?
Yeah, I think that I have. I think there's like some underlying things there. Uh, I don't think it's so much that uh, I don't think it's so much that I need that much sleep. I think that there's underlying things there.
Okay. Well, I sleep more when I have more emotions. I noticed that. I don't know if that's. Do you feel like you sleep more when you have more emotions or sleep less when you have more emotions?
Um, well, I would say that I sleep less when I have more emotion because I want to understand that to some extent, especially
Okay.
if it's like if I'm feeling something negative, then I'm going to try and rationalize it,
Okay. Do you
understand
think
it.
your emotions tell you more about where your boundaries are or what you want?
Um, I'm not sure.
If you have to drown either a kitten or a puppy, which do you drown and why?
uh, I wouldn't want to drown either of them, but I have a bias towards cats because I like them, but it wouldn't make me want to drown the dog. Like, I don't think I'd be able to make that choice either way.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That'd be horrible. Um, okay. Let me ask you some. Let's start with some TE questions. Can you break down the process of getting ready to go to work into 5 steps?
Sure. Um, Taking a shower. Well, getting out of bed, taking a shower, um, putting my clothes on, getting in the car, arriving to work.
All right. Cool. Good. Um, do you normally eat breakfast before you leave for work? Or I guess it would be dinner for you, huh?
Yeah. Um, uh, I would say it just depends. I don't.
Okay. Do
I don't
you
know if I can recall.
do you actively dislike working at night and sleeping during the day?
Do I dislike it? There's pros and cons to it. I feel, but I kind of enjoy it. To
Okay.
some, it can
So
catch
do
up.
you have your room set up so that it's extra dark even though it's daytime so you can sleep?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you need to be both quiet and dark to sleep well?
Um, that's what I prefer. Yes.
Okay. If you have to sacrifice either quiet or dark, which would you sacrifice?
Um, Dark. I think.
Yeah, quiet. It's got to be quiet. I agree with you there. You know,
Yeah.
like sometimes Rachel's in bed and she's listening to through her headphones, but I can still hear a little bit of it through the headphones. And even that little bit, I'm just like, okay, can you turn that down a little bit? I want it to be like dead quiet. Um, okay. So let's see here. Let me ask you a more general kind of TE question. How would you recommend solving the problem of plastics in the oceans?
How would I go about solving that?
Yeah. If you
Uh,
were going to make recommendations to governments on, or if you were going to solve it yourself, either way.
um, I'm not sure. I don't. I don't feel like I have the knowledge to make that decision.
Hmm.
I guess is how I
Well,
would
you
word.
could just go to the ocean with a big net and scoop it out yourself.
Yeah.
um, okay, fine. So now I want to ask you some TI questions. If some birds fly, and all things that fly leave contrails. Is it necessarily the case that some birds leave contrails?
Yes, some birds could leave contrails.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. If all bananas taste like potassium and only things that taste like potassium are yellow, is it necessarily the case that all bananas are yellow?
Yes.
I think the answer is no. but I've never actually asked that question in that form before. If all things taste like, if all bananas taste like potassium and only things that taste like potassium are yellow, does that mean that all bananas are yellow? I'm going to say the answer to that is no. If some dogs bark and all things that bark dislike lettuce, then is it necessarily the case that some dogs dislike lettuce?
Some dogs dislike lettuce.
Okay. If only Egyptians build pyramids and I build pyramids, am I an Egyptian?
Can you repeat the last part, please?
If only Egyptians build pyramids and I build pyramids, am I an Egyptian?
Yes.
Okay. If all fishermen catch salmon and I catch salmon, am I necessarily a fisherman?
Yes.
No.
If all,
If
go
if
ahead.
if all fishermen catch salmon and I'm a fisherman, then I necessarily catch salmon. But if all fishermen
Yeah.
catch salmon and I catch salmon, I'm not necessarily a fisherman. Okay, let's try a couple genealogy questions. Can you tell me who my mother's only daughter's only daughter is in relation to me?
Can you repeat that?
Yes, my mother's only daughter in relation to me.
Your mom.
No, it's my sister.
Your sister.
Okay, fine. Now let me ask some extrovert intuition questions. How many synonyms can you come up with for the word mischievous?
Mischievous. Um. Uh. I don't think I can come up with any.
Okay. Um, what do you think about vitamins? Do you take any vitamins?
I take vitamin D.
Take vitamin D?
Yeah.
Is, is it because you believe it does some specific thing that you need to have done to you?
Yes.
What is that specific thing?
In the wintertime, I need sunlight, and I work during the nighttime. So I take vitamin D.
Oh, gotcha. Makes sense, right? Because you work at night, so you don't get as much sunlight. And vitamin D is full of sun particles. Oh, I take vitamin B because I'm trying to cure damage I did to myself by having too much nitrous oxide. Anyway, that notwithstanding, um, so do you have thoughts about whether you want to have kids someday or not?
Uh, yeah, I have thoughts about it. Uh, I could do with or without. I think it would be it'd be nice to have kids, but at the same time, I think I'd be just as well off without them. I mean, I don't know, but at the same time, I don't know because I'm still young. I don't know how that would affect me as I age.
Well, you know, I've got a friend my age who a little bit older than me who does not have any kids. I'm very happy with it. I have one kid. Can't imagine not having one. However you end up, it's probably you'll have plenty of opportunities in life to impregnate somebody if you really want to. I'm sure. Okay. So let me ask you some values questions. I feel like I've got a pretty good understanding of what type you are, but let's do some values questions. So, what is more likely to make you angry at yourself? If you forget an important detail, or if you are rude to somebody and they're offended at you?
What would make me more angry with myself?
So, yeah.
Definitely if I was angry with somebody and that affected them in some way.
Okay. And what about if you were unreliable, like missed an appointment, or unable to solve a problem? Like you came to the appointment, but you just couldn't fix the problem.
Could you repeat that?
Yes. What should make you more angry at yourself? If you were unreliable, like you forgot to show up for an appointment, or if you were unable to solve the thing you were supposed to solve?
If I was unable to solve the problem that I was supposed to solve.
Okay. And if somebody accuses you of either of these two things, which is more likely to be an accurate accusation? You are unkind. You are unfair.
Which would be more likely
To be accurate.
to be accurate? Um, well, I strive to be both of those things, so it'd be kind of difficult to decide on one.
Okay. What about socially awkward or illogical?
Um, well, I'm definitely socially awkward, so uh, I mean, I just would assume that would be the one that most people would say.
Okay. Um, Let me ask you to come up with some possible names for a new invention of mine. It's an orbital sander that has sparklers attached around it so that as you orbital sand something, you have a little sparkler fireworks display going on. Can you come up with some names for my invention?
Uh, no, I've watched some of your previous videos with this one, and I was never able to come up with names myself, following along with it.
Well, that's consistent with what I expected, given where I'm headed with the typing. Um, I'll tell you what I think you are, and then you can tell me what you think you thought you were coming in,
Okay.
and we'll see if they match up. So I feel pretty confident that you're an ISFP.
ISFP.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I had that on I had that on my list. There was 5 different uh, ones that I thought I could be. And years ago, when I was at a therapist, they typed me as an ENFP. But I was ISFP was the only one on my list that was a sensor. Uh, I was thinking that I was more intuitive, but maybe I'm all twisted.
Oh no, it's not. It's not inconsistent with being an ISFP to be intuitive minded. Your conscious knowledge function is intuition, and it's your third slot function. So it's you feel like you most attain things like fulfillment in life when you've got intuitive clarity about what something is, what it means, what the path forward is, regardless of the area of life. It's that singularity and clarity of introverted intuition, which is the kind of intuition that really should be called intuition, you know. So it's natural for ISFPs to believe themselves to be more intuitive than sensors are normally displayed because they have introverted intuition as a third slot scorecard value and accordingly are quite intuitive. They don't utilize extroverted intuition at all as per your answers to the extroverted intuition polar test questions. But that's not exactly a form of intuition, right? It's really a form of creativity. And that's not to say ISFPs can't be creative. Do you have any creative outlets?
No.
Well, a lot of ISFPs end up being creative in visual arts if they're creative because there's a singularity and clarity of vision implicit in visual arts. But additionally, like a fair number of ISFPs watch this channel, which means their introverted intuition is good. They've correctly introvertedly intuited that this is more true than other things. If you ask me, that intuitive is as intuitive does, or as intuitive watches, So I think the type descriptions do a great disservice to all different kinds of sensors in all different kinds of ways because typically intuitives are writing the type descriptions.
Gotcha. Uh,
So I know we've not used up our time or anything. So if you have any questions, you'd like to direct conversation in any direction, please do so.
sure. Um, so uh, just really quick, and I don't want to be like one of those people. Uh, at least I read stuff on this and people, yeah. Um, but I was thinking for a long period of time, I was thinking very much so that I was an INFJ, very much so. Uh, so if you could elaborate on that at all. Uh,
Sure. So
but I know the functions. I know that they're pretty similar too, so I can kind of get it. But
right, it's there's a similar focus on universal truth as something important in their life because of it being first and third slot respectively. The difference is INFJs cannot pass a TE polar test, which you passed no problem. Breaking into 5 steps, even adjusting part way to be like, oh wait, I gotta get out of bed before I take a shower. So like that's indicative of competency in PE that's above polar. equivalently though, when I ask you to solve a big picture problem that is very complicated, it's consistent with TE fourth and any polar that you just said, well, this is probably out of my range of expertise, which is also considered consistent with NI third. That's the truth, you know. And any dom like me thinks they can come up with solutions to any problem, no matter how ridiculous the solutions are. You know, like in debate one time, I had my kids run this case that we could solve global warming by breeding more sea otters. And nobody had an answer to it. You know, nobody had prepared to answer that argument because the sea otters eat the sea urchins that eat the kelp that absorbs the carbon dioxide. That's
Gotcha.
yeah. Anyway, the point is that's consistent with PE 4 and any polar, and most significantly is you test as positive for any polar as any polar always does. It's very clearly distinct from any fifth. With any fifth can sometimes do this. They'll be like, I can come up with a couple of good names, and then I can come up with derivations of one of those other couple of good names that I came up with. That's like the limitation of any fifth. But you just play straight up any polar. If we can't tell the difference on TI, you test equivalently to third slot on TI as eighth slot. So we can just say it's not 1, 2, or 7. And then regarding SI, you're equivalently not using a lot of examples as an INFJ wouldn't when talking. That's another aspect of being any polar is a lack of comfortable fluency with examples to establish things. So, and then additionally, there's the amount of it depends. You have a lot of it depenses, whereas INFJs will have a lot fewer it depenses, and that's because you're an FI dom, so you know that it really does depend on fluid subjective factors that you have to consider, and it's not just it's hard to provide answers to hypotheticals because you don't have any emotional engagement with those hypotheticals, and that's why so many things end up being it depends.
So with FI, I never even put FI into consideration for my front slot because what I've read online and seen in like videos and stuff like that, and the way that they describe it is that typically someone with FI in their front slot is going to understand themselves well and their own like beliefs and whatnot. And
they're going to understand what's important to them. At least they're going to understand that it's important to understand what's important to them.
gotcha.
You know, they're going to protect the things that matter most to them, whether it's their autonomy, their time, their pet, their loved ones, whatever. You know, they're going to be attentive to making sure that that's not sacrificed. And in addition to harm prevention, which is one aspect of FI, they're going to have clarity about where their boundaries are. So they're not going to let people cross their boundaries regularly without either withdrawing from those people or establishing that this boundary's been crossed in some way, like response with like anger or something. Or in other words, you're not going to get stuck in a years-long abusive relationship like I did because I was FI polar. Once you emerge into adulthood, anyway, you know, maybe as a teenager, but once you're an adult, you've got a clearer sense of who you are in that regard than I ever could. You know,
Gotcha.
It's a deliberation function, and as a deliberator, you have considerable access to both deliberation functions. You can think about things both logically and emotionally. because you're a deliberator. Just like I can take action and I can ideate. But the thing is, the logical part is going to be mostly unconscious for you. It's just going to seem to happen on autopilot. You're not going to really have to spend a lot of time parsing things out logically. The things that matter that you have to have logic about, you'll just provide that amount of logic. And for things that don't require logic, you won't apply it, and you'll find it to be perfectly balanced in your life. But probably, well, maybe he got tired of that explanation. Maybe he'll come back. Who knows? If not, I do have things I have to do. A lot of things I have to do. I was thinking about going back to sleep. There's so much I don't want to do these things I have to do. I'm going to call a cleaning lady. I'm going to call a couple of cleaning ladies, see if I can get one of them out here today. This is the last chance I have to get them out here today. So, well, I guess he's gone. So I can't ask him if I can publish it or not. I guess I'll have to ask him via email. I could wait a minute or so longer. You know, we're gonna start late. Not because I'm late, but still, we did start late. What does that say at the bottom there? What does that say? I couldn't hear if you read what it said.
This call is now being recorded.
Sorry, Eric, my phone just died.
Oh, that's okay. So yeah, I don't remember what I was explaining, but yeah, FI is not understood correctly. It's a subjective deliberation function. It's how you know what is important to you personally. So with FI and NI as 1-3, you care a lot about what things singularly mean and how that links to what's important to you personally.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, people get FI all wrong because they fail to distinguish how it plays out differently in different slots. For a deliberation dom like you, it plays out as just like maximal thoughtfulness, like mindful / thoughtfulness. Like you're not one who wants to who wants frenzied mindless activity.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd agree with that. But okay, that was all. That's all the questions I think that I have.
Okay, so would you like me to share this with you privately, or are you comfortable with me publishing?
You can go ahead and publish it.
Okay, great. I will do so. It'll go up sometime today. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you very much, Eric.
All right, have a great day.
You too.
Bye.